People talk about the slippery slope. We're already on the slippery slope. And if this becomes legislation, it will drive us into the abyss. I dread to think the dystopian society that is awaiting us if this becomes law. You raise some very, very important issues here. I mean, you talk about choice and control, and this is the irony, isn't it? I mean, the those proposing and championing assisted suicide will tell you this is all about giving choice and control to the individual. Well, not only does it not give choice and control to the individual, as you have said, for somebody who is getting older, has multiple, disabilities, you said you were very concerned about going to hospital because you feel you will lose control. You will lose control of your treatment and your care. I mean, being told that you should go into a care home and what you told us about your pets were just absolutely horrendous. And this just speaks again to state control over our lives. And I think that the state, is inactive where it should be active and overly active where it should stay out of our business. And obviously, if you need, you know, serious intervention, as you said, you need a lot of health input. Um, that puts you in a weak position because you need that treatment, you need that care. And it's almost like a fait accompli decisions being made, by others about how you should be cared for or treated moving forwards. And we've seen, with Families Against Involuntary Medical Euthanasia, I mean, we began because of the end of life treatment pathway abuses already going on. And of course, these predate the pandemic. We had the Liverpool Care Pathway, which was banned in 2014. But, we know for a fact that during the COVID pandemic, these protocols, which were, reinvented, basically the LCP, Liverpool Care Pathway, rebranded into other protocol names, but really the basis of those, the fundamental treatment plans within them were the same. And they're not really treatment plans, they're death plans. They are the orchestration of somebody's death. Because and you are right to fear. I mean, I fear the same. I am a single woman. I don't have children. I feel exactly, as the same concerns that you have. But obviously, I'm not disabled. I mean, I can't imagine the fear and terror of people who are disabled looking at this bill and what it means for them. So thank you for explaining those things. A couple of other things I wanted to pick up on. I mean, you talked about people making value judgments about your life. And, we found that a lot, and we're finding it now as we help families who are falling into these traps. A loved one needs a hip operation or needs some other, urgent operation, and they go into hospital and sometimes, increasingly frequently, they don't come out. And it's decided that, oh, well, their quality of life is not going to be great. And therefore, we should help them on their way. And they are put on an end of life treatment protocol, which basically means take away your medication, sedate you, you can't eat, you can't drink. And then come the end of life drugs, which are the very same drugs, by the way, that are used for assisted suicide. And but this is other people making, judgments about your life. Care should not be something, and treatment should not be something that's imposed on people. It should be something that they are involved in the decision making of. And this idea that we can have two doctors who are going to safeguard any decision is, we would say, quite risible, given the history of the NHS, especially over the last few years, around DNARs, and DNARs, of course, used to mean, did they not, do not resuscitate me. Now they're being used as a shorthand for do not offer me treatment. And this is why, so many people like yourself were hassled during the pandemic by their GP surgeries or other services like you've described, to fill in DNARs. Why would there be such an urgency? These people were not dying. They didn't have heart conditions necessarily, and they had all the chances of surviving if they were to be resuscitated. But the thing is, this wasn't really about resuscitation. This was about having the justification to prioritize care to those who were younger and more able-bodied. And it's truly shocking. And I don't think the public really understands what has been happening and continues to happen because, these practices were ramped up, as we know, during the COVID pandemic, but they set precedents. And this is another thing that we have to, to be very concerned about by this bill.